think space and space security is always seen sort of there's two sides to the coin. There's space as a domain and there's space as an enabler. Now, from a military perspective, we mostly use space as an enabler, as it enables terrestrial capabilities, communications, intelligence gathering, navigation. That's how we use space the most, really. But obviously there's also space, the domain, in the sense that obviously the satellites fit in a physical environment, and obviously that's also where we worry about satellites in their sort of physical space, in the sense that obviously they could become vulnerable to space weather events, for example, but also to nefarious activities. I mean, space seems quite abstract when we think about it. It just seems like this vast space, everything else that's outside of planet Earth. But actually, specifically when we're talking about satellites that are relevant for security and defense purposes, we're generally speaking about the Earth orbits. So there's lower Earth orbit, there's medium Earth orbit, and there's geostationary orbit. Space actually starts at 100 kilometers in height, so that's the Kármán line. That is sort of set in stone, and thereafter we sort of have it spliced up into these orbits. The UK space power doctrine already says that the vast majority of military operations could not be sustained without space. There's not one military service that can say they're sort of exempt from being dependent on space. But also this very utility of space that we're seeing also paints a target on its back, so to speak. So space is vulnerable as well. The assets within it are vulnerable to attacks, and again it's all three sort of parts of the space asset systems that can become vulnerable. It's the satellite in orbit, it's the links to the ground station, but also the ground station itself that can sort of be attacked. Starting out with this project, I think as an outsider I had the sort of impression that perhaps space isn't always as understood within the military as it should be. And sadly this was confirmed when I spoke to people, when I carried out interviews, but perhaps I wasn't fully aware to the level of misunderstanding or sort of the lack of education that's actually taking place. So a sort of negative surprise, so to speak, but certainly something that I learned about. Sometimes the language makes it seem that space is sort of a luxury add-on or something that we can worry about later when everything else has been sort of sorted out. But that's a complete misconception, because we need space, as we do the electromagnetic spectrum, to actually fit everything together and to make everything work. We need space, we need the electromagnetic spectrum. To treat either as a luxury is not going to work.